the former president said, I won't do anything for black and indigenous culture.
Was he white? The former
For
president?
sure, Bolsonaro. This monument is the first history erasing in Brazil. Remember, we have the water here. He just covered everything.
Wow.
Covered everything. That was the second history eraser. See, the asphalt is a little bit elevated.
Yeah.
So he just covered everything. We had a bus terminal here.
Wow.
If you see the history, nothing changed. Adapt. In the past, we had the slave ships. In the recent past, the bus workers.
And now it's just
Because in the beginning of 2000, one lady bought a house, okay? One lady bought a house, and any person, when you buy a house, let's do a restoration, maintenance. When she started to dig the floor, she found a skeleton. She called the police. The police came, collect the skeleton, and said, let's see more. They continue digging. They found more, 500, 1,000, 10,000. When they did 30,000 skeletons, say, okay, let's stop.
So it's considered high class.
High class, if you get big successful, you must have a white
So
wife.
having a white wife is an
That's my part of debate with the colorism.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, we have a lot of examples like football players, and a shoe has two colors, red and black.
The largest black population outside Africa is found in Brazil. My name is African Tigress, a content creator from Kenya in Africa. I have traveled tens of thousands of miles, and right now I am in Brazil. And guess what? I want to go to a place called LittleAfrica right here in Brazil. I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet with my brothers and sisters across the continent. So come with me and let's do this. Let's go. So we are going to use the metro system. This is one of the ways you get around here in Rio. The metro.
Y todo el mundo está gritando, ay cómo va, ella responderá. Yala, 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 yala.
So you can use your normal Visa card. The metro ticket costs about 8 reals, which is about $1 and some cents. Starting our metro ride here in Cantagalo. Anna, the Anna. In Havana. Hi, Hannah. Interestingly, they have Wi-Fi here. We just came out of the metro. We made it here and let the journey begin. We are in the streets of LittleAfrica. We are going to a place called Valongo Wharf. That is the entry point of most of the people who were enslaved to the Americas. That was the largest entry point. But yeah, let me give you a sense of what this place feels like. The streets look empty. The building's kind of old and lots of graffiti. Not so many people in the streets, but let's get at Valongo Wharf.
Me graba
Well, unfortunately, we do not have any contacts here. So we are going with vibes and inshallah, hoping that we can get to interact with some locals and get to understand why this place is called Little Africa and this place connection to Africa. We finally made it to Valongo Wharf. You can learn about the history of what really happened. Come with me, let me show you something. So Valongo was the region where the largest number of enslaved African citizens landed in the Americas between 1774 and 1831. So right here, you can see the transatlantic slaves, so people from all parts of Africa, the coastal area, including the interiors, all came here. And there was 12.5 million people who came to the Americas, 5.8 million to Brazil, 1.1 million to Southeast Brazil, and 1 million to the Valongo Wharf, right here where we are. And then we met Eddie, who is a Black Brazilian, who gave us true insight and understanding to what Little Africa is.
So here we have a map of Rio de Janeiro, okay, a little map where you can see the hills. Remember the hills surrounding Rio, so you can see some of them. This hill is very famous. Today, we have kind of a statue on top of that. This is Corcovado. Here is the harbor area. Harbor area in this area here. So see this obelisk? The sea used to come until here. Just to know. See the water? What is the water? So I have a huge embankment. Come here. So this is the time, for example, 1831 is when they deactivated this harbor. Because from 1770s until 1830s, this harbor was used to transport from Africa to Brazil. We estimate 1.5 million people dropped in this harbor during this period. Recent history discovered of Little Africa, okay? Little Africa, it's a new area for us. Exists a long time, but is a new area. Why? Because in the beginning of 2000, one lady bought a house, okay? One lady bought a house, and any person, when you buy a house, let's do a restoration, maintenance. When she started to dig the floor, she found a skeleton. She called the police. The police came, collected the skeleton, and said, let's see more. They continued digging. They found more, 500, 1,000, 10,000. When they did 30,000 skeletons, say, okay, let's stop, because probably they built a house in a graveyard. They went to the city archives. Let's see the map. Look to the map. No graveyard. Let's see for all the map. No graveyard. More maps, no graveyard. Until they go to the church and search for the city map for the church. And they said, we never had a city dump in that area. We never had a graveyard. We always had the city dump in that area.
Oh.
That's why when they found the bones of the bones in that area, they found mixed with the metalwork, glass, ceramic, because they throw all the garbage here. So the harbor stopped here, the ship. They drop off everyone from the ship, left quarantine area, dead, city dump. That's the direction. And the ladies found the area. After they found the area, they said, okay, let's do some research in the area. Today, the place is called the New Blacks Graveyard. Oh. And that is one of the skeletons you have there. They gave a name to that skeleton, Baquita. Baquita is a girl. How old she was in that picture, in that situation? 11 years old. That's why New Blacks Graveyard. Because the bones there, they found skeletons between 9 years old and 19 years old. That's why New Black's graveyard. Today, that area is a memorial. There become not just a memorial, but become a research area. Until 10 years ago, we had nothing of that information. We knew it came from Africa, but Africa is big. Africa is a continent. It's not just a country. It's a continent where it has a lot of countries, where we have a lot of cultures. We never had that information until now. Where we come from, come here. Now we know where we came from. The most important, now we have numbers. We never had that. Now we have numbers. Now we know where we came from. Now we cannot say, oh, we came from Africa. Now we can say where we came from. Canjimba, Monjolo, Congo, Quiolas, Rebolos, Moçambiques. Now we know where we came from. Now we know each ethnicity stopped here in Brazil. Now we know the cultural references. Now I can say, what's the Rio de Janeiro culture? Is Bantu. The influence of Rio de Janeiro is Bantu. If you go to Salvador, you may see some Sudanese influence. You see some Center Africa influence. Here is exactly Bantu. Okay? This is a brand new monument. This monument should be made a long time ago. Why we never had this monument? Because the former president and the former mayor, they said nothing to black culture. I don't need to say the name of the president because he's out. And the new president, now Lula, he reinforced the support of UNESCO because as you can see, we have the UNESCO symbol. This is part of the human heritage. The former president, UNESCO was sending money to do the maintenance. The former president refused to do maintenance.
Wow.
That's why UNESCO break partnership with Brazil. With the new government, he reconnected again. Because at least 3 years ago, that building should be a black museum. It's not ready because the former president said, I won't do anything for black and indigenous culture.
Was he white? The former
For
president?
sure, Bolsonaro.
Okay, and the
president
current
of Brazil.
one?
Huh?
The current one?
Sorry?
The current president?
The current president is Lula. He's white, but he's from northeast of Brazil. And Lula, for example, he's the one in 2003 who made a law that's kind of a form of action law who give access to black people in indigenous to university, separating 30% of the seats university for black and indigenous people. Today, the seats of university is not 30% anymore. It's 50% of the seats university for black, indigenous, and poor families. For free. Access to university for free, so you don't pay anything. So that's one thing. For example, my daughter, she passed in one of the most important medicine schools in Rio de Janeiro. It's a federal university, and she passed university medicine. Final.
Parabéns.
Oh, foi errado. Tá fazendo a UFRJ. Most of the part of the people who goes through the quota system, they return to serve their communities, not the people with the money. That's what my daughter want to do. She want to do her job because it's necessary, because she has to do the 3 steps. First, we learn. Second, we earn. Third, we return. I am in the returning time. What I'm doing in my favela, I'm doing a tourist project to the teenagers because that project saved me from the drug dealing. We have to do that to the next generation. Now it's my returning time. Because
wherever there was slavery, of course, there was resistance. There was people who also tried to escape. For instance, let me show you this. Come closer. You see this? This was a newspaper advertisement for the escape of an enslaved person in the region of Valongo, and it was published in 1828. So when an enslaved person could escape, they would publish it. So I think this was like maybe trying to depict what the person looked like, but this is the advertisement for that. You can see.
Black people, once they arrived here, they were forced to do things. First thing, shave their hair. Simple like that.
Clear your identity.
Without identity, no references. Second thing, change your name. That white house was the registration house. So you came from Africa. You had the African name, so you're forced to have a Portuguese name. Okay, my name is Mobu. Okay, I came to Brazil. I am a slave now. They say, okay, what's your name? I am Mobu. Okay, Mobu. From this spot to now, you are Christian. Your name is Antonio. Okay, you came from, where you came from? I came from Mozambique. Okay, you are now Antonio de Mozambique. Maria de Benguela. Teresa de Angola. That's how the first names of Africans in Brazil. Later, the name changed. For what? Da Silva, de Oliveira, de Campos. Later, the slaves start to have the name of the owners of the farms. That's why we have the name De Da Odo. De Da Odo means off. Edson de Campos. So I'm Eddie from Campos family.
That's your name?
My name is Edson Vander Campos Alves.
Oh, okay.
But we have the Bicostas and the Bicostas.
Yeah, same. When you have de, da, do, that means you are from a slave family. Okay? Remember all that thing I showed you? When you see the monument individual, you see the ethnicities of the Africa. But you see all the ethnicities as one, you see Africa.
Oh.
Yeah, when you see all the ethnicities together, you see one
It's
Africa.
actually a shape of Africa from a certain angle.
See? Now,
Including
let's see the
Mozambique.
harbor area, and we're done.
Not Mozambique. Madagascar.
This monument is the first history erasing in Brazil. Why? Remember when I told you about the pavement?
Yeah.
Broken stones, 16th to first half of 18th century. Cobblestones, second half 18th century to 20th century. Remember that information? So the old pavement represents the first harbor. What's the first harbor? Is Slavery Harbor. Emperor Peter II, he married with a lady called Teresa Cristina. Where? In Italy. When they married there, later she came to Brazil. She came with a big fleet. In Rio de Janeiro, where is the unique harbor to receive a big fleet? Is Slavery Harbor. That's why we have a second layer, because they erase all the slave area, transform it to imperial harbor. That's why we have a sign. Here is the place where we have the Imperatress Harbor, erasing the slavery history. During the preparation for Olympics, what you used to have here? A bus terminal.
Really?
Yeah, the mayor. Remember, we have the water here. He just covered everything.
Wow.
Covered everything. That was the second history eraser. See, the asphalt is a little bit elevated.
Yeah.
So he just covered everything. We had a bus terminal here.
Oh, wow.
If you see the history, nothing changed. Adapt. In the past, we had the slave ships. In the recent past, the bus workers.
And now it's just
Now
memory.
we have the memory. Now we have the archaeology site, because during the preparation for the Olympics, they found this area.
When did you host Olympics?
2016.
2016.
So in 2010, 2011, we found this area. So we said, stop everything now.
Uh-huh.
Let's do a research. And here, everything I tried to told you in LittleAfrica, we discover this harbor.
After Olympics is when this was built?
This was built.
After 2016?
Yeah.
By covering the history and all that, it's as if they were trying to cover the atrocities that they had done.
Yeah. We had a lot of atrocities in slavery, okay?
Yeah.
For example, making white some black references like lawyers, engineers, everything we could give us reference,
Yeah.
making them white.
Yeah.
They quite stereotype everything, consider devil things when it was religious. We had the people kind of trying to still, that movement to deny the black culture is still happening today. For example, we have a movement called Capoeira Gospel. Do you know what capoeira gospel do?
No.
They change all the lyrics, doing homage to black people, and orishas, they do homage to Jesus and God. That's one thing. Afro-religion today, we see more white people practicing than black people. Because that was part of the process to keep the tradition out of the black people.
Yeah.
Same is happening in Carnival. Most part of the samba schools, they steal from favela.
Yeah.
But the directors, they're outsider from favelas.
Oh.
For example, one of the most traditional samba schools is called Portela. Portela has more than 100 years of tradition in Carnival. Okay, more than 100 years. And very recently, they discovered, they saw the whole directors, they were white.
Oh.
And nobody lives in favela. Colorism is a very delicate debate, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I have a very serious opinion about that. First, I understand the debate of the colorism is necessary, but here in Brazil is not the priority. Why? We have more people being killing than live the colorism experience. Okay? For example, I understand we need to preserve the culture. I understand all the process, just like the Jewish do, the Japanese do with them, like related with them.
Yeah.
But here in Brazil, I don't know if other countries happen the same, but we understood the concept of ascension.
Okay.
Like when a black person is poor, not successful yet, he may have a black girlfriend. But when he becomes successful,
I've seen it not just in Brazil, but I've seen it
everywhere.
Like some successful black men.
That's
when they
my
become
part
successful.
of I criticize a lot the colorism. If you are poor, you stayed all life with a black person, why you date with the white people when you become rich?
Maybe Stockholm syndrome?
Not just Stockholm syndrome. I can say it's part of the status.
So it's considered high class.
High class. If you get big successful, you must have a white
So
wife.
having a white wife is an.
That's my part of debate with the colorism. Okay. For example, we have a lot of examples like football players.
Another image that I saw, I think you might have seen it. I was reading and researching a lot. So there's this image of a grandmother thanking God for the child, for the grandchild.
That's the Khan's Redemption. That's the name of the painting.
Yeah.
You see the grandmother thanking the gods for her granddaughter born white.
White, yes.
Unfortunately, that was the feeling in the end of the 19th century, 20th century. For example, when I met my great-grandmother, she was dark as night, but she never called her as black. She said, I'm not black, I'm not. It's kind of unconsciously make people do not accept they are black, even being black. Because what's happened? The slavery process ended in 1888, where we had the slavery abolition. Okay? That's the history recorded. But before the end of slavery, we had some laws, prohibition laws, and some laws. For example, that law was made in 1850s, 1840s. That law in 1850s prohibited black people to go to school. Prohibit black people to have lands, documents, have jobs, salary, things like that. But a few years later, they create a law called New Babe Born Freedom, or something like that. In Portuguese, you say Lei do Ventre Livre. It means new baby freedom. It means from that year, every baby born, they were free. But what's the problem? Their parents are still slaves. So they were free physically, but mentally, still slaves. That's why today we are when we fight against the racial problem, we have to make people more racial conscious first. To understand, I am black. to understand, I am mixed, to understand everything. And it's a process. For example, I consider myself part of the process. I'm 44 years old, but I consider myself 14 years black. Why? I knew I am black. I knew since my birth. But I never understood why things happen with me because I am black. Now I understood. The racism, the problems, why my religion was forbidden, why a lot of things was prohibited by black people to do. Because that was part of the process of a mental control of the black people in Brazil. Today, we still have people saying, for example, we have one channel in YouTube, they say slavery was good because they took some black people from the problems in Africa and they brought them to Brazil. And some black people accept that narrative as a good thing. It is not. It is not.
Oh, the channel is in Portuguese.
Huh?
The channel is in Portuguese.
They try what?
The YouTube channel.
A YouTube channel in Brazil.
In Portuguese.
In Portuguese. It's called, I don't like to say that, I won't say that channel.
Don't give them a...
No, I don't say that channel.
You don't need to give them any credit.
But it's kind of a very bad channel in our opinion. Because they say, Zumbi was a resistance warrior for black culture in Brazil. He said Zumbi had slaves. Just to embrace, so just to give base, if Zumbi had slaves, why me as white people cannot have slaves? Questioning things like that, you know.
It's different.
It's different.
And in Africa, what people have is not really slaves. It's more like domestic workers, helpers. They're never slaves. They're helpers.
No, even then, during the time of the process, they could become part of their village. Yeah!
Yes! Finally!
I found it.
Finally, you found the Kenyan
Check.
flag.
That time is a
Now you feel included.
Now we feel included. I was like,
Now you see but a lot of flags, a lot of from Africa. What is mine flag? Now you see
I
yours.
was like, how can Uganda make it Zambia and not Kenya?
I saw.
This is the third time I was looking for the Kenyan flag.
So
That
now
time is a chance.
we have. So at least we didn't miss you. We didn't miss you. And this song specifically is talking about the boy.
Also talking. Are there Brazilians? Okay, I've seen people say it, but I've personally not had that experience. That some Brazilians, like when in the US, they deny they're not black or whatever. Even if they look black, they say they're Latina, they're not black.
That's a crazy thing, you know, because when you go to Brazil, to America, you already have your racial definition in Brazil. So I am black.
Yeah.
But when I go to the United States, they see me, I'm black, but they don't call me black. They call me a Latino. Because that's, for them, the definition of a race, you have to born in the United States to have that definition.
Okay.
That's why, attention, your head. For example, even the white person, when they leave Brazil and go to the United States, he cannot be considered white. They are considered Latino.
Okay.
The definition for white people in the United States is completely different than Brazil.
Okay.
Because we consider color is the color we have in the bodies. For example, you can be light-skinned in the United States and still be called black. Here in Brazil, you're just called black by being black, not light-skinned.
Okay.
You got me?
Yeah.
Because we are talking about the redemption of Khan, that picture we talk,
Yeah.
where we have a grandmother thanking the God for her granddaughter for born white. But if you see the picture, mom black, grandmother black, mom mixed, and the granddaughter white, because the daughter is married with a white man. That's explained part of the Brazilian history, because we had a motivation to be white. So the plan was defined. In 2030, Brazil be 100% white.
But initially that wasn't
1911.
no, that wasn't a decision. Initially, it was never a decision by black people. It was a decision by the colonizers
Yes.
to make it like
Brazil white.
to make
Yes.
Brazil white.
For example, the migration we had in Brazil for Italians and Germans in Brazil, for example, the government paid them to come.
Yeah.
They gave to him their lands.
Yeah.
And the black people, what they want?
No.
Nothing.
So they just came to breed out black people.
Yes, to change. When the slavery ended, instead of contract the black people to work in the farms and pay a salary to them, no, they bring the Italians, the Germans, the Japanese to Brazil. And gave lands to them. Instead of to give lands to black people. And that comes a different. When the first abolition law, they were planning to abolish the slavery and give lands for black people to work. But they didn't happen that way, you know. Didn't happen that way. Example, one of the things I have to say changed in the last 20 years is the Brazilian trying to be more conscious about their history, about their conditions. For example, even the women in Brazil, they had a lot of problem about independence, leader, things like that. Today you see the woman more independent, but this is a process of 20 years. Same is for black communities. Now we are talking about black history more often. But why? We consider part of that change is when you start to have the form of actions. Give access to black people to universities. Now we have black people doing research. If we had people defending the research of this area, it's because we have black people doing the research, not just white people.
Okay.
And that's helping to preserve, keep the things, and reconnect with our roots. Because we had no history references. With these archaeology sites now we have. Now we are discovering things. We are putting out what stay hidden from us. That's why we are crawling now in the culture. Culturally, we are crawling now because we are relearning things. Now we have people going to Africa to try to find out connections with the Orishas. For example, we start to see more people going to have Ifa culture. I always wear white. So this is the restaurant. Let's go inside. E caraca! Nath! She's a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine. We did the class a long time ago. Her name is Natalia. She lives in the Northeast. And she works a lot with the black movement because of her grandmother. Tem que falar, né? Você fez trabalho bom de resgate da cultura. Eu tenho uma memória meio esquisita. Eu gravo de coisa... Sim. We have a table outside. There is a problem?
No problem.
Okay.
Can we see? I wanna see
Não,
what
não vou ficar
you
não.
do.
Só elas. Let's go inside. We always drop some coins to Exu. So here you have the cultures, we have the Orishas. It's closed, but here we have a black hair salon. Black library. The restaurant is not just to feed your body, but to feed your mind. And here we have example of the Orishas. Example of some of them. Oxóssi, Oxum, Oba, Exu, Oya. Examples of a lot of Orishas. So no malandros here.
Which one is
Mine, Shango,
Shango?
is the guy with the 2 axes. He's not here. 2 axes.
Here. He's here.
Yeah, Shango. This is the Mayorisha who protects me. Okay? And this is Exu. Exu, he's the messenger. The Orisha messenger. He's the one who takes our praise and bring back our blessings or curses. Depends what kind of a praying you're sending, you know. So, what else? Princesa, vamos lá. This is a very example of the Iemanjá offer we do during the New Year's. But what we have in Brazil, when you talk about colorism, remember when I talk about colorism, my problem about colorism is the religious image. Sometimes we have people introducing a white Iemanjá instead of a black Iemanjá. If it's an Afro religion, the God is not white. The God is black.
Yeah.
Okay, and here sometimes we have that problem. Sometimes people doing offering as a white Iemanjá. I refuse to have a white Iemanjá. They are black gods.
They're all black, yeah.
Because when you go to Greek, people make sure those are white gods.
Yeah.
When you go to Nordic mythology, make sure these white gods. Why we cannot make our black gods as like in Egyptian gods and Yoruba gods? Why have to make them white?
They have to look like us.
Mestre, como é que vai? Tudo bom?
Tudo bem, querido?
So, a library where we have black writers only from Brazil and outside of Brazil. And here we have a little event, Afro-Religion. As you can see, everyone is dressed white, carrying their beads. This is a traditional procession we have in Bahia in honor of the Orixás. Enfim?
É da Boa Morte.
Da Boa Morte aqui no Rio?
Não, Irmandade da Boa Morte em Cachoeira.
Ok, Cachoeira de Macacu, na Bahia. That's represent the Good Death Order. That's one of the Catholic order who accept black people in Bahia. Okay, and here they are doing a traditional religion. That's why you see the majority of people are black and practicing Afro religion, because this church accepts black people who does Afro religion. Okay, and here I have to introduce the owner of the house.
Hello.
Chef Leila.
I love your outfit.
Ela falou que gostou da roupa, tá arrumadona. And when you see the necklace represents the Orisha she's protected. She's protected by the house is in honor of Oshun, but she's protected by another guy called Logun Ede. Is the son of Oshun. Smart, very wise person. And Leila, when she had the idea to make the restaurant, she had the idea to do what? I have to follow the Afro-Brazilian Orishas dish, and she used Brazilian spices, or palm oil. So if you're doing Afro cuisine and don't have palm oil, you're not eating Afro. This is Brazilian. So and here, she does the dishes basing not just in the Orishas tradition, but respecting the Orishas. Because the dishes of Orishas we are not allowed to eat. But she prepares a way respecting the tradition, the religion, and respecting us. And normally in Afro religion, only women can make the food. Just to let you know, here they have some nice caipirinhas. They have their own signature caipirinhas, which is great. So here what they are offering the starter is the acarajé. Acarajé. It's like a black eyed peas bread, fry it in palm oil, fill up with the shrimp and some spicy things, salsa. This is acarajé. Yeah. Você fala Yorubá?
Só nas rezas.
Only in the praise, only in some thanking.
Porque dentro da casa de candomblé, as rezas são em Urubá, mas a gente não...
Inside of the candomblé houses, they pray, the songs are in Yoruba because the ancestor connection. But inside of the temple, they speak Portuguese. But there's only the song, the salute to Orishas are in Yoruba.
Right.
What
So that's to be outside.
This is outside the roots, and that's the place where they do caipirinha. Let me show you that menu. Because they have a season menu. They have spring, summer, winter, fall. Okay?
Altar?
Yeah, it's a little altar. That's é um altar de Exu.
Deus da comunicação, das trocas.
Exu, in Yoruba mythology, he's the Orisha of the connection, the message. He's the one who delivered the praise, the blessings, the curse. If we do a comparison, just like Shango to God of Thunder, Eshu is the god of a message. In Greek mythology, we can call him Hermes. If we're talking in Nordic mythology, he is Loki. Eshu, he can show to yourself in any appearance. Eshu can be everyone. That's why we say Eshu is the Orisha who eats everything. Eshu is the Orisha who eats everything. And before to open a party in Santeria's house, we have to offer everything to him. That's why we have some offerings to him before to open the restaurants. A house where Eshu eats first, never see miserable things. É a casa que Exu come primeiro, irmão. Não falta nada. Não falta nada. Mano, tô arrepiado, look.
What's that?
I was talking about Exu.
Oh, goosebumps.
I was talking about Exu. A house where Exu eats first, you never meet miserable life. A house where Exu eats first, you never see miserable life. Axé. Laroê Exu. Laroê Exu é Mojubá. Hey, Laroê Exu. That's a Yoruba compliment to Eshu.
I think I've seen they do it and then they clap. Yeah.
We clap a lot of hands.
Yes.
First, we call this as pao. Pao, it's like a call. First, we do the three palm claps.
Okay.
And you call the name of the Orishi you want to talk.
And I see you.
And Eshu has two colors, red and black. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So do you want to get closer? And they always have cachaça. Cachaça.
rum?
That's cachaça. Cachaça rum.
It's rum.
Yeah. In Afro-Religion, we use elements for power.
Yeah.
When we use a smoke, a cigar, we are using the element of a fire. When we use a drink, we use the element of a water. This image here.
Okay, so here we are at the African restaurant. It's called, the name I'll put it there. So we are at Casa Omolokum and we are having our starters straight from Nigeria, from West Africa. This is akara, but I don't take shrimp, so she's had hers first. Then I'll have mine because I don't take shrimp. Okay. How is your akara?
The shrimp is good. You're missing out.
The shrimp is good. Really? Enjoy. Enjoy on my behalf. I don't eat shrimp. And the rest of the food?
This one has okra, which I love.
Okay. Hot.
So far, so good. I love it.
All right. So this is what we ordered. Why does yours look different? And
Yours doesn't have for offer.
why does yours look a lot?
Look at Madame Greedy. Nanini, what the gods give you, you eat. You
No,
follow.
don't be picky like me.
Don't.
But there's people who don't. He said he doesn't eat shrimp.
Yeah, but that's because of his god. So
Yeah.
he wouldn't eat the people that he doesn't eat okra and he doesn't eat shrimp because of his god.
Oh.
There are people who don't
Also, he
eat,
could not eat the starter
No,
at all because
he
it has
couldn't,
okra
yeah.
and it has.
so he couldn't. There are people that can't take alcohol because of their god. Because
Okay.
their god. There are people, actually, I've had that thing where your god curses you. You're cursed from ever taking some foods. Well,
Okay.
for me, my god tells me eat everything. So
Okay, I've never seen blue rice, but
yeah,
it looks
this is interesting.
beautiful. It looks like the sea. Looks like Turks and Caicos water and Bahamas water.
Let me taste this. It's in palm
How's
oil.
the rice? You didn't say nothing.
I really love this actually. When I mix the lentils with the rice and the farafo,
Yeah. Good. So no farofa on mine.
Oh.
You say
Yewa and
Okay.
Kaipinages.
so no farofa on mine. I've tried farofa before. I didn't like it. It's like flour, corn flour, kind of. So let me try. That's the best farofa. Let me try the plantain. Oh, let me share first. I'm generous.
I love it.
Nice piece.
Oxum, Iemanjá, Pombogira, Oxóssi, Pines, e coffee.
Let me see practice here. Obrigada, very beautiful. You are on Instagram?
Itimalia,
Okay, let's see. Instagram?
Itimalia.
Oh, Itimalia hippie.
Sim.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. She's selling some Ifa inspired. Is it Ifa African spirituality inspired jewelry? She's really good, very creative. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you truly learned something new about the Afro-Brazilians. I'm genuinely fascinated by their rich culture and history, and I can't wait to explore more and share it with you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. I always say sharing is caring, so go ahead and share this episode, and I will definitely see you on the next one. Until then, bye bye. Ciao. Kwaheri.